Welcome to Bluff Creek Podcast Radio.
I am Callan.
And I am Blake.
And today's special guest is...
I'm Denny Laufenberger, the Mayor of Chanhassen.
Thank you for joining us today. So, Mr. Mayor, what kind of pets did you have as a kid?
When I was growing up, Blake, I enjoyed puppies. And one of my favorite puppies was a beagle that we called Freddie. And Freddie was a constant companion of mine for many years, and then he died. And then I also had a golden retriever named Rusty, and also a little Dalmatian. So I had dogs when I was growing up.
Wow.
What school did you go to?
Cal and I grew up in Waconia, which is a town just west of Chanhassen here. And when I was in school, I went to Waconia Elementary School and then to Waconia High School. And we were a small town and a small school, so everything was in one building. So I went to the grade school portion of the building for the first 6 grades, and then I went to the high school portion of the building for the last six grades. So Waconia was very different than Chanhassen is today.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
So, what do you do as mayor?
Oh, that's a very good question, Blake. One of the most important things that I do as mayor is to officiate all of the meetings that the mayor and the city council conduct. So as the mayor, I am one of 5 members of the city council, and we are elected by the people of Chanhassen, by the voters of Chanhassen. And so one of the most important things that I do is conduct the city council meetings. That means I call the meeting to order. I ask people to stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I moderate all the discussion that occurs between citizens and members of the council and staff. So that's the official duties. I also have to sign all of the official documents. So they prepare documents that require the signature of the mayor, and my signature is the official signature. So that's the official duties that I do as mayor.
Wow.
And then there's another segment of duties, and that is I am the primary spokesperson for the city of Chanhassen. And when it comes to city activities, whether it's city council activities or, for example, many times the mayor, that would be me, I'm asked to visit with developers that are interested in coming to Chanhassen by building a new restaurant or a new home development or something. So my job is to advocate, and what I mean by advocate is my job is to help people feel good about doing things in Chanhassen. So it's a little bit of a kind of a persuasion job that I have. I'm a cheerleader. I'm a chief cheerleader for the city of Chanhassen.
Wow.
And then the third thing that I do is I have to navigate all the relationships, all the connections that the city has with our state legislators, with our congressmen and our senators, with our county commissioners. I'm responsible for managing all of those relationships so that they feel good about the leadership in Chanhassen. So that's kind of a broad brush of the duties that I have as mayor of Chanhassen.
That sounds cool.
It is fun.
What do you enjoy about being mayor?
Well, one of the most fun things that I enjoy about being mayor is coming to schools like Chanhassen Elementary School and Bluff Creek Elementary School. Yesterday I was at Chaska Middle School West and I taught a class on civics. So I would say the most fun that I have is meeting the people, the adults, the young people, and the children of Chanhassen. That's what's the most fun for me.
What are some of your hobbies?
Well, I enjoy outdoors. So I grew up playing a lot of golf when I was a kid, and I continue to play golf, so I play golf as an adult. I also enjoy fishing. How can you live in Minnesota and not like fishing, right?
Yeah.
And I also enjoy, one of my favorite hobbies is I get to spend time with the athletic teams in Chanhassen, specifically the high school athletic teams, and I announce the games. I announce the football games in the fall. I announce the baseball games for the high school team in the spring, and during the winter I announce the girls' basketball games. So I would say announcing is one of my hobbies that is a lot of fun. I enjoy that a lot.
That's really cool. Can you tell us a little bit about your family?
Oh, sure. Thank you for asking. I'm married to my wife, Ruth. We've been married almost 44 years, and we have 2 children. Our daughter, Heidi, and her family live in Apple Valley, and they have 3 children. And then our son, David, and his wife live in Lakeville, and they have 3 children as well. So we have 6 grandchildren that we get a chance to spend time with. And they range in age. The youngest is 7 and the oldest is 14. And we have one in 8th grade, 1 in 7th grade, 1 in 6th grade, 2 in 4th grade. You're 5th grade, is that correct?
Yeah.
2 in 4th grade, and then I also have a 2nd grader. So I enjoy spending time with those grandchildren. I also have 1 sister. Both of my parents have passed away, and I had an older brother that passed away a couple of years ago. So, but I have been richly blessed with a wonderful family of my own, and then I consider many of the kids in Chanhassen part of my family because I know so many of them, like I know you two.
Very cool family.
Mm-hmm.
When you grew up, did you ever think of becoming mayor?
Wow. Being mayor or holding any elected office when I was an adult, it never crossed my mind when I was a kid. Now, I did things that were leadership oriented. I was involved in leadership in classes like student council. You have student council here, don't you?
Yeah.
Bluff Creek. So I was involved with student council. I was involved with leadership in my youth group at my church. When I joined the U.S. Navy, I was involved with various activities of leadership. My wife and I have been active in churches over our marriage, and I've always been involved with leadership in the churches. So I've always been involved with leadership, but I never thought that one of those opportunities would be to be the mayor of Chanhassen. But now that I'm here, I realize that all of those things that happened throughout my life, all of those opportunities, all of those tests, all of those challenges, all of those were in preparation for what I'm doing right now. So I kind of grew into the role of mayor. But I didn't think about it when I was a kid.
That's very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever done or thought about doing any service for our country?
Well, not only did I think about it, but I actually did service for the country, Callan. When I was 20 years old, I was in college, and at that time, that was the time of the Vietnam War. You may remember, you may have read about that and heard about the Vietnam War. But in that time, when I left college, I lost my college deferment, and the United States had at that time what was known as the draft. And because I left college, I was eligible to be drafted by the U.S. Army. And I decided that it would be better for me and my plans if I would join the U.S. Navy. So in October of 1970, I joined the U.S. Navy, and I served in the U.S. Navy for 4 years. So
that's very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of things did you do in the Navy?
Oh, that's a very good question, Blake. When we think of the U.S. Navy, we think of ships and submarines and maybe airplanes. Well, I had a very interesting career in the Navy. I went to California for my first boot camp, and I also was in California for my first training school where I learned Morse code. Morse code is the form of communication that was ship to ship back in the 1970s. But I was very fortunate in that after I completed my Morse code school, I was sent to Washington, D.C., and I worked in the Pentagon for 6 months. And while I was in the Pentagon, I learned to use a computer. It was the very first computer that I ever set my fingers on, but I learned to use a computer for communications. And I did that for 6 months in the Pentagon, and then I was assigned to another Navy office just about a mile south of the Pentagon, and I spent the rest of my Navy career, my 4 years, in that office. So that means I was in the U.S. Navy, but during my 4 years in the U.S. Navy, I never set foot on a single naval vessel. That's an oddity,
Wow.
I think.
What was your favorite subject in school?
Oh, I loved math. One of my least favorite subjects was like biology and chemistry, though I did okay in those, but I didn't enjoy them. But math was always fun for me, and I especially liked solving math problems. I think I'm wired to solve problems, and math problems were always a challenge for me. And even today, I like solving problems. I love crossword puzzles. I love Sudoku. Do you know what Sudoku is?
Yeah.
I love Sudoku. I love doing a genius level Sudoku, but I don't always do that. So I love solving problems. So that's
really cool.
I would say math has always been my favorite subject. And my son turned out to be a math teacher. So there must be some genetic things in that. So
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. Well, thanks for thank you so much for joining us today. Today's podcast was brought to you by Bluff Creek Podcast Radio, encouraging you to connect with someone new today.